What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Kingdom Podcast. I'm Todd Fleming.
And I am Jordan Stanley Payne.
And we're going to be talking about abundance mindset today. We're going to be talking about how to rewrite our mindset from a mindset of scarcity and what that really is, and how do we rewrite that to something that is more abundant, more positive. That way we can change our lives. No, it's just you have a shitty relationship with money.
Welcome to the Kingdom Podcast.
Without passive income, you will work the rest of your life with no guarantee of retirement.
Tell me how this sounds to you. I want to work for the next 40 hours a week for the next 40 years to retire on 40% of my income. Does that sound like a good time to you?
It's all bullshit. You went to school and you learned a system that is failing. You learned a system that was designed to make you an employee.
I'm so fucking tired of hearing people say that they don't need to invest, they don't need to be rich, they don't like money. You need to be rich. You want to know why you need to be rich? Because you need to support everyone around you.
The Kingdom Podcast.
So, Jordan, what do you think about that?
Just from that intro, it sounds like this is like some kind of like hippie. I feel like we need to be like chanting or have some like cool music going for this. It sounds very, very new age, and the reality is that changing your mindset and an abundance mindset has been around for such a long time. And if you look back over history, the people that have been extremely successful will all tell you the same thing. It's a huge part of having an abundance mindset.
Yeah, anybody successful actually has one for the most part. Very rarely will you find someone that's really achieved anything that is negative and or in the mindset of there isn't enough for everybody and I'm just going to take everything. I'm not saying they aren't out there. Everybody knows those few people that have managed to complete something or accomplish something by stepping on others, but that's really not the way of the world. It's really not the way that we look to run our business, and it's not really the way that other successful people look to run their business. So we can dive right into it. I mean, we don't even have to beat around the bush or do any bullshitting. I mean, when you look at your life right now, when you think about your life, Jordan, you can give examples maybe, or maybe how it used to be versus, what your life is like now. But when you were in more of a traditional living style in a fashion where things weren't going all that great, or you weren't all that happy with the way things were, and you had this grand idea for living a happier or more fulfilled life, what are some of your thoughts that came to your head? Like, were you scared of things? Were you thinking that, screw this guy because I'm so tired of him, getting the promotion and he doesn't work as hard as I do. Why does that keep happening? And things like that. What did that look like to you?
I was in corporate America before I jumped into being an entrepreneur. Directly before. And I think a lot of that is a very, very selfish mentality. I'm unhappy because of me. That's not fair. This isn't fair. Like, just that whole, it's such a circle because people are unhappy. And I think that's really where it stems from. I'm unhappy because this isn't fair. I'm unhappy because this didn't go the way that I wanted to. And it was always based around just an unhappiness because something didn't go exactly as planned. After my shift, after I started getting into being an entrepreneur, somebody at some point said, dude, you can't bitch about everything. You can't just blame everybody else for what's going on in your life. That's going to lead through that unhappiness and that sense of unsatisfaction. And if you don't ever change that, dude, you're going to be one sorry son of a bitch. You're just going to be an unpleasant person to be around. Because I was playing the victim card.
It's funny that you had someone bring that up to you. So I actually didn't have anybody bring that up to me. I'm going to tell you a quick little story. I had this aha moment while I was at my last ever job. And I was working at a top Fortune 100 company. Most people would have been in love with it. But I was fucking miserable. I hated my life. I literally couldn't walk up the steps again. Like, I was that miserable. And whether the money was good or not, I was always broke because I didn't know any better. I hadn't been taught anything different. And I was sitting in my cubicle one day, and I remember basically looking at my finances while at work and thinking, I'm never going to get ahead. I always have more expenses than I have income. and it's so fucking annoying. I can't take this anymore. And I was just ready to rage. You ever seen like the video of the guy that rage out and an office building, he throws the computer across the room? Like, that was me. I was ready to be that guy, which sometimes I wish I would have done just so I could have the story, but I didn't. I didn't throw anything.
Make sure you get that on camera, though. If you're going to go that route, make sure you get that, that recorded.
I totally agree. And so what happened was I just had this aha moment, and for whatever reason, it came into my head, like, this is my fault. It's not the company's job to make sure that I can pay my bills or expand. Their only job is to pay me for what I do, and that's it. And that's when I realized, like, holy shit, I need to do something for myself. I need to put myself first. And I literally quit a week later, and I started my own entrepreneurial endeavors at that point. That was, a few years ago now, but I just wanted to tell that story of, if you're in this situation, and I think a lot of people are, that you're financially frustrated, and maybe you have 4 jobs, maybe you have 3 jobs, maybe you don't just have one because you feel like you got to meet the bills. It's not that job or company's responsibility for you to get ahead. I'm going to repeat that. It is not that job's or that company's responsibility for you to get ahead. It is up to you and your mindset to grow, your perspective of situations to grow, and your skills to grow. If you work 4 jobs right now just to pay the bills, you have 1 of 2 problems. You have very low skills, or you have too many expenses that you need to start eliminating. It's 1 of the 2.
But Todd, I'm a victim. But I'm a victim, Todd. Come on.
Yeah, and that's where this is going. That's where this mindset starts, of like, I can never get ahead. The world's just beating me down. The man's beating me down. This is bullshit. The American dream's dead. No, your mindset's dead, and you need to start learning. You need to start reading. You need to start reprogramming everything that you've ever known, for the most part. So this isn't going to happen overnight. This is something that's going to take time and consistency and discipline. You need to read 30 minutes a day. But I wanted to tell that story to give you this picture of, 1, I was there, so I am proof that you can get out of it. Jordan was there. He's proof that you can get out of it. Your current situation is just the sum of the actions that you've taken in your mindset that you've taken so far in your life. So if you're not happy, you need to change. If you're happy where you're at, you can continue on that path. Fantastic. But if you are not happy, if you're not financially where you want to be, spiritually where you want to be, emotionally where you want to be, you need to make a change. And this is how you start. You make that realization. So maybe you're thinking about your current situation right now while you're listening to us, thinking, fuck, I'm not happy. Well, guess what? This is sign number 1. Time to make a change. So how do you make that change? Jordan, how did you make that change?
For me, it was one singular decision. I'm going to take responsibility for what happens in my life, and I'm not going to blame it on my wife or my family or my job or whatever. I'm in charge. I'm in charge. From this point forward, I write my own check, and I decide what happens to my life. And that is the scariest fucking thing ever. Like, we hit on it a little bit in that last podcast, but when you're in this cocoon and you're freaking comfortable, and then you get ripped out of that, whether it's your choice or someone else's choice, it's extremely uncomfortable, but it is literally like page 1, you have a blank page. Now you write your own story. Now you write what happens. So for me, I said, look, I'm not blaming anybody else right now because there's no one else to blame. I'm making my own choice right now. And I mean, it was scary as hell, but it was exciting as well. So my transition, I mean, everybody I was talking to, everybody I was listening to was talking about mindset. So I was like, well, crap. Okay. Well, let me check out some of these podcasts and audiobooks and, things that people are mentioning time and time again. One of them happened to be Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which, shameless plug, that really got me started on my journey. But so for me, the first step was just making a choice.
So that makes both of us. And we're not the only ones. It starts with self-realization. You need to realize where you're at. You need to start and look around at your surroundings and realize the world doesn't revolve around me. I'm in the world. I am a small piece inside of this world. How can I make it better? When you change your perspective from the world revolves around me to I am a small piece, how can I make the world better? You're on the right path. Your world around you will begin to change because of it. There's a reason all these successful people and all these other podcasts and all these other shows and all these other businesses, all these other huge entrepreneurs, like you can listen to interviews with, with Elon Musk, Andy Frisella. You can listen to all these big time guys. There's a reason they talk about mindset so much, right? Pageman from Secret Entourage. Mindset and your perspective is where everything starts. The idea is where everything starts, and that's where you can implement things. So if you never have an idea, if you never have an original fucking thought, and you just ride the coattails of whatever business you're in or whatever job that you partake in, there's a reason that you're not getting ahead. There's a reason that you're fucking miserable. It's because you aren't taking responsibility for yourself. So step one, absolutely without question, in rewriting your mindset is realizing where you're at, doing a self-evaluation. If you want to look at it financially, look at your bank account right now. If you have $1,000 in your bank account and you're 35 years old, I don't know if things are going to change for you if you don't change, right? I understand if you're an 18-year-old kid and you got a couple grand because you've been hustling, that's great. But I just want you to be able to realize where you're at and have a plan together for where you're going. Not that specific plans work out, but they point you in the right direction, and your unwavering faith and action is what keeps you moving forward.
I want to take it one step further, and some people might not even know this information. Look back, unless you're like 18. If you're older than 18, don't do this, but look back over the last 2 or 3 years at your financial statement at the end of the year. At the end of the year, just like Todd said, if you have $1,000 or whatever in your bank account, year after year after year, something is obviously wrong. And if you continue that pattern, now you're 30, now you're 40, now you're 50, and Todd, you did something that a lot of people have not been able to do. You had a self-realization that if nothing changes, nothing changes. Maybe it's Sean Wayland or somebody says that if nothing changes, nothing changes. Radical change requires radical change, but you were able to identify, and a lot of people can't do that. They know something is wrong, but they can't identify what is wrong.
Yeah, and when I think back, what caused this self-realization, what caused this aha moment, as many people call it, what made that come so clear to you? And I wish I had an answer for you. The best answer, a specific answer for you, the best answer that I've been able to come up with over the past handful of years, thinking back on this moment almost every single day at this point, was that I was in so much fucking pain that I could not do it anymore. If something didn't change, if the universe didn't show me a way, if God didn't show me a way, whatever the fuck it was, I was going to explode. I just couldn't do it anymore.
So
once you get to that pain threshold, that's when something's going to change.
So your realization was basically financial, right?
My realization was financial. Yep.
For me, my realization, my aha moment, that big event was more on the emotional side. So I was making okay money at my job, whatever. But for me, I had just gotten married and I never got to see my wife, So your realization might be financial. It might be emotional. It could be spiritual. None of that really matters. But at some point, you are going to have a realization that, okay, maybe something's a little bit off here.
Now you want to go back to that job, huh?
Right?
Right? See the wife too much now. Yeah.
5 years of marriage, and I'm ready to go back. Oh, God. I hope she doesn't listen to this.
Yeah.
Get me in trouble. So I think for different people, the realization is going to be different. But, man, if you're looking at your situation and you're saying, I'm in the exact same situation last year as I am right now, that needs to be a point of identification saying something has to change. So back to the abundance mindset thing, a big part of that is saying, I do have a choice to make a change. And I do have a choice to change my thoughts and my actions. Most of you listening to this are in America. This is America. You have choice, right? You have like free choice here. You can change whatever you want to change.
That is a hell of a point. And that comes with the
America.
Yeah, and that comes with the self-realization. It's it's just the way the world now. That being said, about the change, if you are building something and you're looking at your bank account every month and you only got a few bucks and you're like, okay, I need to change something. Yes, you need to change something, but at the same time, when you are building something or you're working something towards or on your own or as a team that you've put together, there is going to be a time where, where you're going to fall down. You're going to go on this wave. There's going to be ups and downs, and the downs are going to feel like they're never ending. I understand that. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is the person who lives mundanely and mindless day to day, but expects for some reason in the next 10 years something to change without them changing. That is the whole point. So step one is self-realization to rewriting the mindset. Let's define scarcity versus abundance really quick for step two. Scarcity is the idea that there isn't enough, right? It's the idea that there isn't enough time, there isn't enough money, there isn't enough people, there isn't enough opportunity. The idea of abundance is that there's always enough love to give, there's always enough money to go around, there's always enough time. It's just priority. So step number two, after we begin this self-realization, is we are going to start keeping ourselves accountable. Okay? So we're going to start watching out for words like can't and only and these negative perceptions of the people around us, that this person's a jerk because he has the car that I've always wanted and he must have screwed somebody over to get it. Those are all bringing negative things into our life. We have to rewrite our mind. Any negative words, any negative perceptions. If you are on Facebook and you have never filtered your Facebook before, my God, delete it. Just delete Facebook right now. It can be the most depressing, negative thing on the planet unless you filter it, unless you surround yourself with people that are like-minded, that are positive, that are uplifting, and are looking to move the same direction that you are. So it's really important that we're able to do that.
Unfollow. It's like, that's all I do all day. Unfollow. But man, just filling your timeline, but your life with positivity and removing the negativity is a huge part of that as well. So back to abundance, and there's plenty for everybody, and trying to get away from the mindset of scarcity. I listened to a audio and a video last night about 4, 5, 6 different people that have $1 million companies, and they all live in the same city, and they're all in the same niche. They're all doing real estate. And one of the guys said that I never step on anyone else in this room's feet. We never butt heads. We're never competing for the same deals. I mean, there was literally 5 or 6 different people at this table, and they all agreed that they were all making or all have $1 million companies and weren't even butting heads. That is abundance. And I've seen people, even in smaller markets, that are like, I'm not going to tell anybody what I do. I'm not going to communicate with anybody because, man, what if we both work on the same thing or we both have the same idea? Man, you're never going to get ahead that way. That's scarcity 101.
Yeah, fuck your NDA, right? Fuck your idea, because how many people are going to act on that idea anyways, let alone execute on it, right? So, yeah, the idea of someone's going to steal this, someone's going to do that, that's actually going to attract that to you, if anything. So when we're keeping ourselves accountable and when we're watching our mouth, and that is because our thoughts and our words become our actions. And that's when we're going to go into step number 3 here, and that is that our actions. So now that we've got the self-realization that we need to change something, that we need to be more positive, step number 2, we're going to keep ourselves accountable. We're going to watch our mouth. We're going to really keep our thoughts in check. We're going to filter the people around us. When I began this journey of entrepreneurship and changing my life, and I wanted to create something huge. I wanted to affect lives. I wanted to make the world a better place. I lost no less than 100 friends. That's painful. That's difficult to do. I had a huge group of friends, but when I really narrowed it down and I looked at the social medias of all of them and I looked at the personalities of all of them, they were just so negative. Constantly. They're the group that goes on the weekend and gets fucked up and then misses work on Monday, like that kind of deal. Like, that's not going to get me where I wanted to be. So I had to drop all of that. I felt alone. Entrepreneurship can feel lonely at times. We talk about being lone wolves sometimes. We'll talk about that more in the future on the podcast, I'm sure, because it can be tough to share how you're feeling at times because you feel like you're so much different than everybody else. But when you create this mind of positivity and the world can be a better place, and I'm gonna do that, there's only going to be a limited amount of people that are around you that are willing to support that or understand that. So we had the self-realization, step 1. Step 2, we had the accountability. And step 3, we're going to step into the action. That's where we actually start acting on the thoughts and the words that we use towards doing what we want, whether it be real estate in our case, whether it be a supplement business, whether it be a yoga class, whatever it may be, whatever it starts as, it's starting as a passion. It's going to turn into a business to share it with the world. These are the steps. These are the actions that we want to start taking towards that.
I want to hit on the action thing for a minute. A lot of people are so overwhelmed with the actionable side of it because they're looking at this huge monster in front of them, all of the different things that are involved in the yoga or the supplement or the real estate stuff. And they really, really struggle to simplify it into what is the first step that I need to take. So people are going from step 100 to step 85 to step 15, and they're just overwhelmed and they're confused. So guys, when you're starting to take that action, figure out what is the first thing that I need to do as an actionable step to get this going, to make it shift, to make a change. And if you can do that, you're well better off.
100%. Absolutely. When you're focusing on that one thing, you're going to start to see the progress. And something that not only deters action and progress in our mind is going to be this one thing. And this is the devil, in my opinion, and that is instant gratification. If you do not get a reward or you do not get the instant progress that you want, people think, well, must not have been for me. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, this shit's tough every single day. Every single fucking day can be a hashtag grind. Every time I say grind, I'm going to say hashtag. It's going to be a hashtag grind, or it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be some sort of falling down that you have to pick yourself back up and learn from. Every day is a learning lesson. So for the first year, maybe you don't make a dime in whatever you're doing in the first year, 6 months, year and a half, whatever it may be, but you're learning every single day to get better, better, and better. And you're going to start to realize how you connect your product to your market, if you will, to your audience, to your customer, to whoever you want to affect. Whatever your passion is, let's use yoga again for whatever reason. Yoga's on the mind. If you want to be a yoga teacher, if you want to have a yoga business, if you want to have a yoga business, you're going to learn how to put your name out there and put your word out there and your reputation and connect it to the people who want to learn yoga. But you're not going to learn that on day fucking 1. You might learn it on day 900. I don't know. But as long as you keep working towards it every single day, you're going to get to where you want to be.
So what about the people that, I'm taking it back to the beginning here, they're doing their thing and they know that they're unhappy, but they haven't had that realization yet, let alone even figured out anything that they want to go after or pursue, or, let's just take it back and just talk to the person that's unhappy. Why is that? And why do you feel like you're in that position? You've got to look, and it's that identification thing. You have to look at the elements in your life. Okay, who am I spending time with? What do I do when I'm not working? What do I find joy in? And if you can start to list these things out, you can figure out what's wrong. A lot of people are just like, man, I'm unhappy, but I have no clue why I'm unhappy. Maybe it's not even your job. Maybe it's something completely different, and that scares the hell out of people because they just don't know. I'm just unhappy in general. So what would you say to that person that just they haven't identified it yet?
They have to uncover the underlying fear. So they have to look back at their lives. Fear is a learned trait. It is not something that you are born with, like, hey, I'm afraid of all these things. No, that is something that society has taught us through all of our time on this earth, right? So we learn that guns are scary, or heights are scary, or fear of failure and speaking publicly are the two of the biggest ones on the planet. And why is that? It's because of our social integrity. Okay, so like if I have someone, I don't want them to think down upon me. So if I fail in front of them, they're going to think that I'm a loser or think that I'm not worthy. So I just don't even try. So I never get to the action point because fuck it, I'm just going to fail anyways. Yeah, with that mind, you are. However you think is how you're going to be. So if you have this terrible underlying fear, and you have to address that, you have to realize where that came from. So maybe you look back at your childhood or how you were raised or your education or where you grew up. Hey, I'm afraid because, where I grew up, people got shot all the time. So I'm afraid to go outside and do something different. That's legitimate. That's a real thing. But at the same time, if you rewrite your mindset from scarcity to abundance and you realize this can be my why, this can be my motivator, this is why I have to become financially free, this is why I have to invest, this is why I want to get into real estate, this is why I want to be able to get my family out of this terrible situation. You can be the benefit, you can be the factor in all of that change if you tell yourself that you're going to be that change, if you make that decision.
I love it. I love it. So give us the bird's eye view as we're ending here. We're talking about scarcity and abundance here. We've gone through some of the steps to start that process. What would your final thought to anybody that's just trying to figure it out be?
Whatever you're scared of, whatever you're fearful of, whatever point that you want to get to, and why you're blocking it from your life right now, write a letter to yourself. And write an honest-to-God letter. In my case, I'll write, Dear Todd, in the morning when I wake up, I'm terrified to even get out of bed because what if my companies crumble? What if people don't believe in what I'm saying? What if people, find that some things they feel are total bullshit? Whatever it may be, whatever story that you're telling yourself, okay? Write a letter to yourself. Write a physical letter. Literally sit down, write it, and look at it. And if you write yourself this letter that should take you 20, 30, 40 minutes, by the way, this shouldn't take 5 seconds. Because once you get to that point and you're writing your letter and it starts coming out, it's going to come out for you. That's going to uncover that underlying fear if you're being honest with yourself. And that will be able to allow you to overcome it, to rewrite it. So if I have a fear of failure, right? Say, Todd, when I wake up in the morning, I'm scared to get up because I have fear of failure. I can rewrite that to, I have the ability to manifest anything that I want in my life, and the means to do it are right in front of me through, the Kingdom real estate, through my own personal investment business, through whatever other endeavors that I invest in. All of these avenues have already been created, and I just need to do my best to get to that next level. See how that sounds different from I'm terrified of failure? I'm scared. What if it doesn't work? What if it does work? Just start rewriting that. So write your letter to yourself that's completely honest to what you're scared about or what you're fearful of. That next letter, rewrite all those negative pieces. That way they're positive, and then you can reread that one every single day, and your mindset will be changed forever. It doesn't happen overnight, but you can point yourself in the right direction overnight, and that's what's important. So if you know where you want to go, you got to get on the right path. If you have no idea where you want to go, any path will work. So that's why we want to get you to a point where you know where you want to go. That way we can get you pointed in the right direction.
Yeah, my final thought on the subject would be, when I first started, I had a screensaver that said you are 100% responsible for everything that happens to you today. And I had another part to it, whether that's positive or negative, whether it's, wealth or rags, whatever it said. But it was basically a reminder that every single thing out there is a choice, and I can choose what happens from this point on. So if you have that every single morning, you're golden. Guys, appreciate you being a part of this. We'll catch you guys up next week.
I'm gonna have one closing thought. I just thought of something. For anybody that is fearful of what others think, because that's a big one. What has helped me, so even in my little fear letter, my fear letter example there, I mentioned what if people think, this is all bullshit. what's helped me get through that is you just tell yourself, I'm going to put out what I put out. And the people that resonate with it are going to resonate with it, and fuck the rest. That's it. That's what you have to do with everything that you do in your life. You will never, ever, ever, never convince everybody that what you're doing is a great idea. There are people in every single industry that shit on everyone else because their lives suck and because they haven't had that self-realization moment. Do not try to affect them. Do not let them affect you, I should say, because that is everywhere. So put out what you're going to put out. Fuck the rest.